Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Tim Tim Time, and I'm here to continue our read of Proverbs. Good morning, everybody. It's nice and chill this morning where I'm from. It's going to be in the 60s to 70s today. Pretty chill because usually it's pretty hot, but we're finally getting out of our summertime. My wife really likes that because she's thinking about scarves and sweatshirts and sweaters, and I'm thinking about, oh man, I can't wear shorts or t-shirts. But that's okay. I am adaptable. I enjoy weather. Cool weather is kind of nice, but I actually do like the sun and beach and all that kind of stuff. But where I'm from, I don't live near the beach, which is unfortunate, which makes me want to go ahead and live near the beach again, like nice beaches, like Southern California beaches. Anyways, we are reading from Proverbs again. We are in chapter 3, verses 7 through 12. Let's get into it. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. It will be healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones. Honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of all your produce. Then your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will be bursting with wine. My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline, for the Lord reproves him who he loves, as the Father, the Son, in whom he delights. Yeah, the first parts about this is pretty straightforward. He just starts off. Solomon starts off with like, "Do not be wise in your own eyes." I'm taking that to just mean to be. Don't call out that you're just wise. I'm just wise. I think there's a pride thing here. Do not be wise in your own eyes. I think there has to be something to be said about. I just highlight this. Let's do a mild highlight. Oh, did I do it? I think there's this understanding about position and titles. You don't get a title until you have earned it and someone has given it to you. Like I took many years to get through school, and with that, I could not call myself a graduate until I actually graduated college, which I became a bachelor, obviously. Graduated from Long Beach State University. And you don't go around saying, I'm a graduate, until you actually graduated. And someone recognizes that you have graduated. And I don't think you could go around and calling yourself something unless you are actually something, or you have been recognized as being something like that. And going around and saying, I'm wise, there's a little bit of narcissism in there, like a little pride in yourself, kind of like I'm wise. People have to kind of say you're wise. I guess I could go with the goat. If you are really good at something, I'll call out LeBron. If you're really good at something, you could be really good at something. And you could say, I'm good at something. But to proclaim you as the best, say that you are the best, yeah, other people have to kind of recognize that already in saying you're good. But even if, for myself, say like in some kind of universe, I happen to be an amazing basketball player, and I happen to win championships, and I happen to play for my favorite team, which happened to be the Lakers, then yeah, I would love to be recognized as the best player. To be recognized as the GOAT, that's a whole different level. That's a whole different level. And I'm hoping that if you are playing in a professional sport, you are trying to be the best at your particular sport. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people who's playing in the NBA is trying to be the best. As for the greatest of all time, that means you are better at everyone else that has previously played against you to necessarily be called the GOAT. And so to proclaim yourself as the GOAT, I don't think you could do that and people accept that. And every time I go on my feed, especially on Facebook, Facebook is a thing. That's the only place where I see the GOAT issue comes up, and a lot of posts about LeBron and Michael Jordan and other people who maybe, and then stats and all that kind of stuff. And I guess I could ask AI. Hey, AI, I think I have this thing called, I'm doing this LeBron James thing. Did LeBron self-proclaim as being the GOAT? Did LeBron self-proclaim as being the GOAT? He hasn't been shy about putting himself in the conference. Okay, so self-proclaimed, and there's something, I don't know. There's just something wrong with it. I think action speaks louder than words, and they've been calling LeBron the greatest all-around player of this era. I think I'll ask that. I'll make sure. Is LeBron considered the greatest all-around player of this era? Many argue yes, scoring, playmaking, rebound, longevity. Oh, okay. Consensus from AI. Most analysis agree that LeBron James is the most complete all-around player of this generation, while others may surpass him in individual skills like Curry and shooting, Durant and pure scoring, Duncan and defensive leadership. No one combines everything into one package as LeBron has for 2 decades. Okay. So scoring, playmaking, rebounding, defense, and longevity. Okay. Meh. But the GOAT? Well, I'm not an analysis. I don't read all the stats and everything like that. There's more people that get into that more than I. But the point being is that there wouldn't be so much controversy if he didn't say it, I think. I don't know. That's my take on the matter. But again, if you are wise, I think someone would have to say it. If you are a leader, someone has to recognize you as a leader. You can't just say you are something unless you have the credentials or someone has recognized you as being such a thing. Okay, I could go on Charlie Kirk. One of the arguments of Charlie Kirk was that he didn't graduate college when he was around, and people would argue like, what credentials do you have to be able to debate on the topics? And his argument was like, well, I read, I study, I try really hard, and he did, and I heard him say he recognizes the weakness of him not having the credential, because actually in this society, not having the credentials, the college degree or something like that, removes you from the table from discussion, which is unfortunate because college is not the only means in which to gain intelligence or to gain information. You could just get a book and just read, and people could do that. You don't need an actual professor to go ahead and tell you how to think. You could think on your own and be a critical thinker and have other amazing people help you to think, like authors and speakers from the past. Modern professors are not the end all be all of all knowledge. And when it comes to wisdom, that's a totally different issue. Wisdom is putting knowledge into action. And so, with that in mind, I don't know. And this is just not, do not be wise in your own eyes. That's what I have to say. That. So, and I wanted to learn more about Charlie Kirk because actually started listening to him more often when I right before he died, and it was sad for what happened to him. Rest in peace. But like him being a racist, him being a fascist, him being not qualified and everything, and him being sexist and all of those other things they say about him, and I listen to what he says, listen to the discussion that he has, and in no way have I seen him be any of that stuff. And so, I'll being divisive. I think the divisive thing is just having arguments, and I think having verbal discourse in person to person. I think that's a amazing forum in which to go ahead and discuss and debate. The current forum since 2020 has been online. I will say whatever I want. Reddit, all those things, those kind of things. It's safe. You can say whatever the heck you want. You have Google in front of you on your computer, and you could go ahead and research stuff really quickly. But he did this all without Google, and he just was well read, intelligent, and he was wise. And his ability to public discourse was amazing. Anyways, and that's that's first verse. Sorry, first verse. I spent this 10 minutes talking about do not be wise in your own eyes, and I went on this rant about you cannot self-proclaim of being wise, and it says right here, chapter 3, verse 7, do not be wise in your own eyes. That's all I have to say about that, I guess. Fear the Lord and turn away from you. Again, it's going back to the original premise from the beginning of Proverbs is fearing the Lord, and don't do evil, turn away from evil. What is evil? There's a lot of things that are evil. So it will. And this is the result. It will be healing to your flesh and a refreshment to your bones. Okay. So again, it's this. If then, if you fear the Lord, turn away, it will be healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones. Meaning, what I get from that was that it'll just be refreshing when you are not being proud of what you've accomplished or what you've done, but fearing the Lord. I guess the fear of the Lord is you recognizing who allowed you to be here on the world. Like he is the one who will judge and look at your life and kind of say, hey, how were you living? The first thing was to just turn away from evil. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. It's pretty simple. And it will be healing and refreshing. Honor the Lord with your wealth. Oh my gosh. I'm pretty sure living in the world right now, I'll just highlight for first fruits. This is homage to tithing. Like you could say first fruits. First fruits could go back to tithing. Tithing is this idea like when you earn your pay from, let's say, not your net worth. Wait, net worth? What's the difference? My net. What's your net worth? When you get your monthly pay, then let's see here. Let me look at this real quick. Gross versus net. Why in the world am I forgetting what's the difference? One of those takes into account all the taxes and insurance and all the kind of thing that gets taken out. And the other one is how much you get paid before that. And I'm pretty sure it's gross pay. Let me just make sure. One of my weaknesses is that I forget words, but I understand the meaning. It says It doesn't say. This will really slow me down. Gross pay versus net pay. Gross pay, total income. Okay, so my net. Okay, so my net. So out of the gross, without taxes and everything else, all the kind of stuff, you take 10% of your that income and put it away for the use of God. Now, I know you could give it to your local church, the one that you attend. 10% of, so if you're making $1,000 a month, you give $100 to the church at the end of the month. It's pretty easy. Okay. So with that in mind, I believe giving a certain amount to the church and then keeping others for the certain amount for your own ministry. Because so it's a line item that my wife and I do, is that we do give a certain amount to the church, and then we have a certain amount in a line item, and then whenever we do ministry, especially like taking like discipling, because my wife and I do discipling, and so if we want to treat our disciples out to dinner or something like that, or give them gifts and everything like that, those are things that we're giving back to the Lord. It's not ours to use per se, but to be used for to expand the kingdom and to encourage people in the kingdom and stuff like that. So we could go ahead and do giving to our local church, but then we also could fund a missionary that's going abroad. And there's a couple of missionaries that we fund, and then we also give to people around the world who, like children. Like we have a couple of children that we sponsor and everything like that. And I feel like that's giving back to the Lord. That's giving, using that money for purposes of helping other people out that can't help themselves. So that's what I think. Anyways, honor the Lord with your health and the first fruits of your produce. Like, do those things. Honor the things like I just said. Your gross income, you're taking right when you know how much it is that your gross income is. You go ahead and straight away 10% off the top, and then put that away into that line item in your account that will be specifically for the Lord's use. You may just want to go ahead and some of you might just want to just go ahead and just give it to the church to go ahead and support the ministries of the church that you are going to. Okay. Then your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will be bursting with wine, which is counterintuitive because you're giving away money, and it says that your return will be tenfold. That's just a saying, meaning like it will grow. In that, which is kind of hard to articulate in my human mind's like, I'm giving away money. Like if I'm making six figures, that's $1,000 a month that I'm giving away. $1,000 a month could go to my rent. Okay, or I could save it. Like if I wasn't giving, actually I'm not making six figures a month. That's not correct. A year. Say like, again, if it's six figures, okay, say it like this. If it's six figures a month, say like you're making $10,000 a month. There it is. That makes sense. That's $120,000 gross. Okay, $120,000 gross, which would be $10,000 a month, right? Which would be $1,000 a month. $10,000 a month gross, which means $1,000 in tithing and Lord's money. Okay, $1,000 a month is a lot. That's a lot. You could do. I could build half a computer in 2 months. I could build a new computer in about $2,000. Maybe a little bit more if I want to get a new monitor and all that kind of stuff. But just base, top of the line, pretty close to top of the line computer. PC, I'm talking PC. Sorry, that's a different debate. PC versus Mac. PC. So, anyways, so it's counterintuitive when you go to verse 10 and just say, then your barns will be filled with plenty and your vats will be bursting with wine. But I would have had $1,000 that month extra to do whatever I want with it. But I'm giving that to the Lord. But again, it's this honor thing to the Lord, honoring thing. And we've been doing, Tracy and I have been giving 10%. It's like 16 years now we've been giving, and we have been without. We haven't been without. Like, we have been taken care of. We have 4 kids. I don't own my own house because unfortunately I didn't have that legacy in my family. But I'm hoping that after saving and all that kind of stuff, my wife and I will have that legacy that we could go and have some property for our children, or not. We're still up in the air on that one because it's so expensive right now to purchase, and unless I move to an area where my income equates to an actual place where I can live, which right now it is not, because the housing market is so, there's a word for it. I want to say convoluted, but there's a word that's similar to that. Sounds like that. Convulsive. Anyways, it's bigger than what people is able to afford. So in the Bay Area, they say that you have to make at least 6 figures to be okay. But what if you do have like 4 children and you don't have legacy wealth off the bat? How do people live? And plus, my wife doesn't work either. So if I had 2 incomes and she's making 6 figures, then it's fine. But we opted to go ahead and have children, and she was able, because I make pretty decent money. She was able to stay home for a time and raise our kids, which she's partially doing that right now. Still, she has a part-time job, working about like 16 hours a week at least, or about that much, bringing in a little bit of money. But yeah, but she was able to, for the other 10 years or however long we've been together, she hasn't really been working full time. So we have been, our life, I guess you could say your life will be filled with plenty. Your vats will be, which basically your life will be overflowing. And it has been with my children, the life that we live, people in our lives, and how our lives have become. So this is not a bad situation that I'm in. I have to be honest with you. We're not materially wealthy, although I make more than the average citizen. It's because of where I live. Okay, it's not cheap here. Okay. My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline or be weary of reproof. This is a big one. Oops, that's not what I want. I wanted the white yellow. I'm gonna keep this. For the Lord reproves whom he loves. This is the interesting thing that as I'm moving on. For the Lord reproves him whom he loves, and the Father, as the Father, the Son in whom he delights. The reason why we discipline and be hard with our children is not because we want to be hard and tell them what to do. It's because we are trying to give our children wisdom, to be critical thinkers, and to learn from their mistakes. I do not want to be a helicopter parent who will helicopter down from the heavens and save my child from themselves. It's their fault, and unfortunately, they have to reap what they sow. That is a fact. That is a truth, and that is something that he has to deal with. I feel bad for those children whose parents have not disciplined them. I don't know the results of it, but I have a feeling that parents who do not discipline and train their children produces children who are entitled and cannot handle disappointment. I could ask it. Let me go ahead and ask that in AI. Are parents who, let me see this. For parents who do not discipline or train their children, is the result of that kind of parenting children who are entitled and not able to handle disappointment? Let me ask that, okay? Okay, this is something that people have. Where are the? Actually, I want to see. Can you give me the resources and the evidence from this? All right, so I just want to see this. Okay, so in general, when parents rarely set boundaries, provide structure, or hold children accountable for the actions, psychologists typically categorize this as permissive parenting. So I just remember that. These parents may be warm and supportive, but they avoid enforcing rules and consequences. Children raised with little discipline training often develop some common traits: entitlement. If children are consistently given what they want without limits, they may expect the world to cater to them in the same way. Difficulty with this point without practicing handling no, failure, or limits at home. They may struggle to regulate emotions when faced with real life setbacks. Low frustration tolerance. They may give up more quickly when tasks get hard because persistence wasn't nurtured. Weaker self control. Rules and discipline help children learn to manage impulses. Without them, self regulation can be harder. Nuances. Not all children respond the same way. Balance matters. Yes. Discipline over punishment. Healthy discipline is about guidance and teaching, not harshness. Clear expectations, logical consequences, encouragement go further than punishment alone. Yeah. Yes. Children raised without discipline often become more entitled and less able to handle disappointment, but the degree depends on their personality, environment, and other adult influences in their lives. So yes, 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 yes. So yes, for the Lord reproves them. And it even says it's biblical. 11 and 12. Discipline your children. Basically, raise them in a way that's appropriate. If you raise them to fear the Lord, turn away from evil, honor your mother and father, and do good things to other people, helping the poor, and all kind of stuff, you're teaching them good things. And when they're going off the rocker, you need to call them out on that. You can't let them get away from inappropriate behavior. You need to deal with that situation. So if you want an argument for disciplining your children, because research have showed for most students generally leaning towards that way, that your children will become entitled and all these other different things, which is I still need to go back. It's anyway, entitled, difficulty with the disappointment, low frustration tolerance, and weaker self control, which the contrast is true. If you discipline your children, they will not be entitled that they cannot get whatever they want. They will deal with disappointment better, and the tolerance for frustration, or that frustration level, tolerance level would be higher, and they'll have more self-control if you do these things of disciplining your children. You're not doing it because you're mean. Yes, I guess it's easy. Oh, I want to be nice to my child. I want them to have a fun life and happy life. And say, yeah, yes, you can have that when you discipline them. If you do that, no discipline when they're younger, they will have a hard time in life in the future. So discipline your kids. So I'm going to call out Proverbs 3, 11 and 12. That's going to be my parenting verses. My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline or be wary of his reproof, for the Lord reproves him whom he loves, as a father and son in whom he delights. I will discipline my children when they are doing wrong, objectively wrong things. Okay? Stealing, being physical violence, the other things like not cleaning up after yourselves, not listening to your parents when they tell you to do stuff, like listening to authority. That's a really big deal. If they don't listen to you, you need to call them out. Because now we have all these people that are rioting all over the place, not listening to authority. These riots. Okay, ICE is doing their job. Wasn't going to go here. ICE is doing their job, even though people may think that Trump is the worst person in the whole world, but we voted to get rid of illegal immigrants. And if you look at the news reports and everything, and what ICE is actually doing, they are actually researching and finding people who are actually criminals from other places and criminals who are here. Stop giving criminals, illegal immigrants, a free pass. And the thing that kills me the most is we have people in leadership that are giving money to people who are not even citizens, and they're not even taking care of citizens who. This is the veteran thing. Like, why aren't we taking care of our veterans like we're taking care of illegal immigrants? You're caring more about so if that's true, then that'd be it's something I need to let me look it up. This is a new chat. Are illegal immigrants taken care of in our country more than our own veterans? Monetarily, I'll just say that. This is interesting. Veterans are receive. So they have those who serve honorably have access to a broad array of benefits that are generally not available to others, depending on factors like service duration. So they have Veterans Health Administration, healthcare often at low to no cost. They have the GI Bill, disability compensation, home loans. Many veterans benefit from tax-free or favorable tax treatment. In practice, the federal government devotes a substantial budget to veterans programs, for example. Okay, good. So veterans are a relatively privileged group by design in U.S. given their services. Common claims and misunderstanding. Oh, okay, here he goes. Good. There we go. Fact checking. Here we go. Undocumented immigrants get more than veterans. Yeah, I'm here learning. So, in most instances, veterans, especially disabled ones, get more benefits and support from than undocumented. Veterans are being diverted to immigrants. The VA dispute that. For example, the VA says it does not use funds intended for veterans to provide health care to migrants. Okay. Some city or local programs are giving more cash to migrant families than disabled veterans in the city. There are anecdotes of such programs. For example, okay. No, undocumented immigrants are not taken care of more than veterans in their systemic or broad sense federal law. Veterans have dedicated benefits built into U.S. policy. Undocumented immigrants are generally excluded from most of those benefits. There are cases, especially at a state or municipal, where local programs provide support to immigrants in certain situations that could, in narrow cases, look comparable to some veteran benefits in their local. The perception that immigrants are on the gravy train often overlook how limited their access is under federal law, and how so no, good to know. So I'll generally say that, okay, I learned too. Anyways, I've talked enough of this. And Proverbs 3:7-12. Hopefully that was informative to you as I was articulating and brain vomiting online. That was my thoughts on the matter. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.